Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is a fun new thing we're trying, and we're just so grateful you guys are here for our All Sewanee Club virtual event. And I just want to let you know we're recording this so that if you're not able to stay for the whole thing, you'll be able to rewatch it later, and we'll share it with others as well. I know the bells are ringing in Shepherd Tower, so I want to go ahead and get started. We've got an hour. We want to get this time together within an hour, and so we want to be respectful of your time. And my name is Susan Askew. I'm class of '86, and I'm Associate Vice President for Alumni and Parent Programs. And we do a lot of these events on the road, and we come around to different parts of the country, and but we thought it would be fun to do one this way so that we could maybe reach more people than we can the other way, because you might not live where we come, you might not be in a Sewanee Club market, but a Sewanee Club might not be your thing. And so um, we wanted to be able to share information. We've got a lot of exciting things happening at Sewanee at an exciting time. And so we think we're going to do this as a series and do it every couple of months and just keep you guys informed and connected with Sewanee. Before we get started, I wanted to just let you know that Parker Oliver is our Associate Vice President for Marketing and Communications, and he's sort of behind the scenes here. He helped us get ready and will help us as we go on through the afternoon. And I wanted to just talk to you in just a second. I'm going to be quiet and let you guys hear from our special guest, but let you know that how this will flow today. We're going to hear from our Vice Chancellor. Many of you have submitted questions ahead of time, and so we will let him give a general state of the university kind of update, and then we will answer a lot of the pre-submitted questions. And then there is a box down below, if you can see in your screen or on your phone, that says Q&A. And if you wanted to submit some questions there that we might answer when we finish the pre-submitted questions, we'll try to get to as many of those as we can. So thanks again for being here. It does mean a lot to us that you have marked your calendar to spend some time with us in the name of Sewanee. All right, so it is, like I said, an exciting time at Sewanee, and one of the main reasons is our 18th Vice Chancellor. And many of you know him, but if you don't, I just can't wait for you to get to know him. But he has so many unique aspects to him that make him just perfect for this role as Vice Chancellor. And by virtue of those roles, he knows many of you, but there's some that do not know him. So I can't wait for this to be a way for you to meet him, or the next time you're on campus or we're in your city. But Rob Perigin was a student at Sewanee. So he was a student, which means he graduated. He's an alum, class of '76. And then he and Phoebe, their two children, both went to Sewanee. So he's been a Sewanee parent and knows things from that angle. He and Phoebe kept a house in Sewanee for about 40 years. And so they've been community members, which that's a unique role at Sewanee, to understand how that interacts with the college. He was on the faculty. He was in the politics department, and then he has been on staff in the Dean of Students office, and then as a vice president. And then on top of all that, as if it were not enough, he's been a president at another small liberal arts college. So he was at Millsaps College for 13 years or so, and then we've lured him back to Sewanee, and it's just the perfect timing and perfect guy for the job. And I'm going to turn it over to our 18th Vice Chancellor, Rob Perigin.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. And thank you all for being here this afternoon. I'm actually calling or zooming in from Mobile, Alabama. Susan and I were here last night for a Sewanee Club event. Great event here. This was actually our 41st Sewanee Club event in the last 13 months. And we've had over, I think, 4,200 people come attending those different events. So it's been great to be in person in all of those events around the country. This is a different sort of program, and I'd much rather be in person, but I'm looking forward to this time with you this afternoon. As Susan mentioned, the fact is that Phoebe and I are delighted to be back. It's especially meaningful to get to connect with so many of our friends from through the years. As Susan mentioned, I was a student in the 70s, back as a dean and a professor in the 80s and 90s. Phoebe was teaching in the theater department during that time, and also running the Sewanee Dance Conservatory and the Perpetual Motion. I was vice president, and during that time, I was able to get to know a lot of the alums from the 50s and 60s, and actually even the 40s, including Jim Helms, class of 49, whom I met, I saw again this fall. He lives on Sewanee Avenue in Arcadia, California. So then Carolyn and Wes were in school here at class of 14, Carolyn, and 17, Wesley. And then being back now and getting to know so many of our students and their parents. And all of that adds up to me to be 9 decades of Sewanee alums that we are privileged enough to know and to support this great institution. So it's a real privilege to be back. It's a real blessing, and we have loved our time here. As a matter of fact, several people asked the question, what's been the most meaningful thing about being back? And it's those connections with being reconnected with all these friends and supporters of Sewanee, and also getting to know the new folks. But secondly, and maybe even more importantly, getting to know our students. Phoebe and I have entertained a number of events at Chin Hall. We've loved getting to know the students. We have them for pre-exam study breaks. We've had them different organizations that have been part of events at Chin Hall. We enjoyed having our international students over. We had 90 students from 34 countries, I believe, including students, one young woman from Odessa, Ukraine. We have a student from Gaza City, and another student whose family she has brothers who are in the Israeli Armed Forces. And all of that is just to say that it's a real blessing to be part of a community that has students coming from all across the world, and we care about them. They are part of our family, and it's a really meaningful experience. So glad to be back at Sewanee, glad to have a chance to get to be with all of you, and now with our students. So we're going to treat this a little bit as a Sewanee Club event. I typically give a little update from campus, and then talk about some exciting things on the horizon. We'll stop for that time of questions and answers, and then I'll end with kind of a call to action. So first and foremost, great news. We have an incredibly strong entering class this fall. If the numbers hold up, this will be the second largest entering class in the college's history. We have 488 new first-year students coming deposited, and another 23 transfer students. So that 511 is, like I said, the second largest in our history. It's a very strong class. Average GPA is 3.74. The SAT average is higher than last year. Students are representing 37 states, 14 foreign countries. It's early decisions. We're about 26% of our student body, our first year class. We are 18% students of color, which is up 3.5% over last year. About 38% of our students are recruited varsity athletes, and another 22% are legacy students. So it's an incredibly strong class at a time when it's increasingly hard to attract students. The numbers of college-bound students is declining. The competition is increasing, and it's a challenging time. But I'm so very proud of our admissions team, led by Alan Ramirez, for the great work they've done. And I'm also proud of the Sewanee community. Faculty, staff, students, they all are part of the recruiting of a new class. And so this village of Sewanee has done a fantastic job in recruiting the class of 2028, 7 or 8 of whom I met here last night in Mobile. The School of Theology also has a strong entering class, up from last year in terms of numbers. and really looking forward to getting to know them as well. So that's the first big news. Looks great for the fall enrollment wise. Also very excited about the new strategic plan. And I want to talk a little bit about this. This is big news. A number of you wrote in questions about the strategic plan. So let me give you a few highlights of the plan and share a little bit about the background and how we got here. So this is the first strategic plan at the university in 12 years. Last Friday, we actually put an email out about it and provided a link and some information on our website that you can go and actually read the full plan. We started last fall thinking about the importance of a new plan, knowing it was time to get forward moving on this. I said from the very beginning, this needed to be a plan that is collaborative and ambitious and fast. We pulled together a group of faculty members and staff and students and board of trustees and board of regents members to be part of 3 committees, focusing each on heart, mind, and place. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And a steering committee that met every Tuesday morning through the entire Easter semester at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning to work on this plan. It was a lot of hard work. We held over 50 information sessions, focus groups, town hall meetings, did a tremendous amount of soliciting of information from stakeholders across the spectrum, and worked hard to develop a plan that we could present and finish up in the spring. And in fact, after 4 months, 4 hardworking months with Scott Wilson, our provost, leading the way, we were able to present a plan to the joint faculties that in May 2nd overwhelmingly supported the plan. The Staff Partnership Council unanimously supported the plan. The Board of Regents approved the plan in June. And then last Tuesday, our Board of Trustees voted overwhelmingly in favor of this new strategic plan. So it's great to have this plan in the works now. We have a lot of work to do to effectuate the plan. The 2 primary or underlying objectives of the plan, one, to present a model of education that will be increasingly important in attracting and retaining outstanding, high caliber students for the future. That's the #1 objective. That's the #1 goal of this plan. And secondly, to help to ensure that we're preparing students for outstanding lives of leadership and service and achievement beyond the domain. And we think we have done a really good job of pulling together some new ideas and new approaches alongside traditional approaches that will make this an outstanding plan going forward. Several of you in your questions asked, so what's the biggest challenge for Sewanee and for institutions of higher learning? And the whole business of enrolling, recruiting, enrolling, and retaining, and then graduating the next generation of students. That's the big challenge, and I believe this plan will help us address that challenge. If you have a chance to go look at the plan, I would encourage you to do so. You'll find there are 5 overarching goals. There are 16 strategies associated with those goals, and there are over 75 tactics that we will be exploring to effectuate those strategies and achieve those goals. The 3 primary pillars of the plan relate to what we refer to as a mind, heart, and place. The mind being sort of renewing and enhancing our curriculum going into the middle half of the 21st century, equipping our students with the knowledge, skills, and powers of discernment to be successful in life and to help meet those challenges ahead. The second, heart, enhancing the student formation and leadership development, embracing the opportunities we have for character development, leadership, moral development, moral courage, and really being great citizens for this world, this democracy of ours, and for this world today. And then finally, place. Just activating this university domain as a model of inclusive community and environmental stewardship. We think we have an opportunity to realize the full potential of this domain. I refer to it as our laboratory and playground and sanctuary to explore, to learn, and to lead in matters of the environment. So these three pillars mark the three of the five major goals of the plan. The fourth goal has to do with enhancing our academic and student life facilities and our grounds on campus. And the fifth is related to increasing our endowment and developing new sources of net positive revenue going forward. I'm really excited about this plan. There are some great new features and there are some great supporting features of the current plan that we curriculum that we have. 5 or 6 things just in a nutshell to mention. A new first-year program, a new universally enrolled program for all students that will be have both a curricular and extracurricular component that will help them make their way into college, be successful in college, develop a sense of community and a sense of belonging. A new first-year program, a universal program for our students. Secondly, while we continue to support our core curriculum, we will also be developing some areas that we think are very important going forward and are important in this day and time. We're developing a new curriculum on data analytics and data science. Matter of fact, we've just voted a new data science major. And we're also going to be enhancing our business program in the curriculum aspect of the business program, the programming, the more internships, the Carey Fellows program, the Beacon Center, a number of Beacon Bridge program, and the Babson Center. The business minor is the most popular minor at Sewanee, and we have an opportunity to make strides in creating even more opportunities for our students who are interested in careers in business and and developing skills in those areas. Third, there's some parts of our program, the new curriculum, that are very intentionally focused on leadership development and career readiness that will be important for our students. Fourth, there's a piece of our new strategic plan about reinforcing the value of our Episcopal heritage and identity, which is important for us. You'll also see in the new plan activating research and academic opportunities on the domain, on the outer domain, and including a new curriculum across the domain program in which all of our majors, all majors will have some component or some opportunity for exploring and being part of connecting with our domain. This domain I'll tell a quick story. Last summer, I had a conversation with one of our art history professors, and she had a class assignment. The class assignment was to take students on an excursion in which they would be able to draw something in motion. And so what she did, she took our students, her art class, down into Lost Cove, where there is a herd of bison on a farm in Lost Cove. And their project was to draw these bison in motion. And it struck me then that this is a kind of experience that students in art history, of all things, can do that will enrich their major, their experience in the art history major, and the kind of experience that we say all majors in the college ought to have some connection to this domain of ours. Where on this planet can you find another college that could take art students down into a beautiful setting like Lost Cove and draw bison in motion? So that's the kind of a curriculum across the domain that we're interested in developing. We're also, a very important part of the plan has to do with enhancing our village, creating a more vibrant and inclusive village there in Sewanee, and also enhancing our athletic facilities, and finally growing our endowment, particularly as we move ultimately toward a campaign. Every one of the items I just mentioned, all 7 of those, will speak very specifically to opportunities to attract new students to Sewanee. Each one of those has an element of attractiveness and an opportunity for telling the Sewanee story and bringing more students to our campus, which is the very reason why, the very goal of this strategic plan. Finally, one last thing about the plan. as we worked our way into the spring semester, thinking about the plan, there were a number of issues that came up in the course of our conversations that our faculty and staff were concerned about that we felt like we needed to address. They didn't feel like they were at the same type of experience as a strategic matter, but they're nevertheless very important for Sewanee going forward. So we actually developed what we've called an operational plan that is parallel to the strategic plan, an operational plan to address very important matters for our campus today. There were 7 things in particular. Faculty compensation, which is at the heart of what we need to be doing in support of our new all of our faculty. Faculty compensation, addressing a salary compression challenge with our faculty and staff. Third, creating opportunities for more professional development for our employees. Fourth, focusing on marketing and communication, telling the Sewanee story better and with an even greater emphasis on our academic program. Fifth, addressing housing needs on campus for our faculty and staff. Sixth, improving transportation on campus and logistics around campus and creating opportunities for those who, without cars, to have access to amenities around the community. And third, addressing key deferred maintenance issues. So the fact that we developed this operational plan coinciding with a parallel to the strategic plan was really important in terms of the buy-in of our faculty and staff to this plan. So I'm very pleased to say that we've got work to do at that operational level as well as at the strategic level. So that's a nutshell of the strategic plan. Encourage you all to go and take a look at it, and you'll be hearing more about it soon. So, other great things happening on campus. It's been a very busy, full summer. Sewanee is a vibrant place in the summertime. We had, during the 12-week period this summer, we had 32 different programs and over 2,000 participants, from Writers Conference, music festival, the Sewanee School of Letters, camps all over the place. It was a fantastic summer, and it was a very vibrant experience there in Sewanee. A lot of that vibrancy came from our own students who were there doing research, working with faculty in a number of experiences, the data lab, the labs in Spencer Hall. We also had students involved in internships around Sewanee and beyond. Matter of fact, we had students in 19 different states and 12 countries this summer doing internships amounting to over $675,000 worth of work by those students. We had students studying abroad in Japan and Taiwan, studying art history and culture. The Babson Center took students to Southeast Asia, and we had students in England studying theater there. Great opportunity for our students around campus and beyond campus this summer. We also have a number of activities going on with our faculty this summer. A couple of weeks ago, I sent out a end-of-year letter that recounted the extraordinary work of our faculty, not only in the classroom, but the work they're doing, the publications, their research experiences, the productions. It's a really impressive group. And I highlight today just the one, Lily Thompson. We're so proud of Lily for her recent NSF grant, the largest grant in university history, $619,000 grant that will be used for her research and students with her in that research. So fantastic work by our faculty and students. Few other exciting things happening on campus as we finish up a couple of big projects. Hamilton Hall, $22 million renovation of Hamilton Hall for our students and faculty at the School of Theology as we train the next generation of leaders in our church, lay and clergy leaders. We're just completing the resurfacing of the 2 turf fields, the Pewitt Field for soccer and field hockey, the McGee Field where football and men's lacrosse play, and the Coughlin track. In a 3-month period, we raised about $1.9 million to replace those really old surfaces that really needed to be replaced. So it's exciting to see that work done. And I've also was very excited to come back from being out of town last week to see that our great physical plant crew had been working on the entrance, the highway going into Sewanee, and had done a lot of clearing of brush and clearing off some of the brush on the rock ledges there. And it's going to be a beautiful upgraded entrance to campus. And all that coincides with the new Beal Commons, the fantastic new renovation of Thompson Hall for students as a student center. A lot of exciting things happening there, and appreciate the support that so many have given us as we move into the next chapter, including some great things that will be happening this fall. Our athletic department, our athletic program is looking great. I mentioned earlier about 38% of our class have recruited varsity athletes. Our women's soccer team coming back from last year's NCAA run. Tennis team had great spring, and I'm sure looking forward to a great season with ITA this fall. All of our sports, our football team, we've got 90 football players returning for this fall, which is the largest number in a number of years, and really looking forward to that. We've got some great activities on the horizon for the fall, and we could not be more excited. Let's see. I think that's almost it for me. One other exciting thing to mention on the horizon, you'll soon be seeing a new Sewanee magazine. We are relaunching the Sewanee magazine, and it's got some great stories and some great pictures and a great layout. And I'm very excited that we will, after 5 years or so, be back on coffee tables with our Sewanee magazine. And actually, speaking of coffee tables, let me also mention this one other thing. Our Sewanee alumnus, Norman Jetmanson, who, along with his friend David Cruz, put together this great documentary on the 1899 football team. That documentary is now available at like 95% of the country through PBS channels, and can also be seen on their website. Norman has put together a new coffee table book, and you'll be seeing advertisement about this new coffee table book on the 1899 team soon. So, little pitch there for 1899 team and this great new coffee book. We want to have coffee books and magazines on coffee tables all over the country. Susan, is
Right.
that about it?
I love it. And before we move on, we're celebrating 125 years of that fantastic 1899 team. So we'll have a big celebration this fall around the September 13th football game. So I hope people will come and celebrate it all for that. But anyway, yes, I mean, there's just a ton of exciting things from the strategic plan all the way down to the magazine resurfacing. And we've had a lot of questions, and I know you covered some of them that were pre-submitted, but I'm going to try to pick out some that I hope you will answer. And a lot of people had different things on their minds, and it's fun to see what people are interested in. But anyway, so of all the questions that we got.
So there were over 100 questions that came in. And Susan tried to compartmentalize or put them in groupings. So we'll try to get to as many of those groups as we can. But it also reminds me that we need to think about some ways to get news out and answer these kind of questions in other fora as well.
That's exactly right. I thought it was interesting to learn what people had on their minds. But of all the 100 questions, I'm going to start with the most important one. Tell us, how is your dog Spencer, and how is he enjoying the mountain?
Spencer. Well, Spencer thinks that our students exist on this planet to pet him. And so he has loved all the attention he's getting from Sewanee students. He's loving the place. Actually, there was a story last in the fall or winter. Spencer, we left a back door open and Spencer escaped Chin Hall. And Phoebe and I came downstairs early in the morning. He was gone, and we panicked. We ran around the house, ran around the neighborhood, looked for Spencer, drove all around campus. No Spencer. Figured he had chased a deer off in the woods. We'd never see him again. He's 10 years old, a golden retriever, but he still thinks he's a puppy. So I got a call. I looked at my phone and I got a call from a student. They had found Spencer and they knew who he was. So they brought him back to the Chin Hall and
What
put
time
him
did they
in
find him?
sometime in the middle, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They brought him back to Chin Hall, put him in the sunroom, which we had not checked before we went scrambling all around town looking for him. So we ran back to the house and there he was, wagging his tail. Um, there's a funny story in the Sewanee Purple about Spencer's great night out, his great escape. And apparently he went to some fraternity houses and he went to some of the women's dorms. He was all over the place, but he did come back. So Parker, I told Parker to share the story of Spencer's great night out with you. So if anybody's interested, there it is.
Yes, and speaking of all the sharing, Parker's gonna be putting all the links that we refer to in the chat, but then when we follow up, we'll include all those since this will go away. But you'll be able to see a link to the strategic plan and this story and anything else that we refer to. All right, thanks, Rob, for all that. We had a lot of interest and curiosity in your first year here, and people are wanting to know how it feels to be back. And I know you said you and Phoebe loved being back and all your connections here, but can you say something that might have been something that you discovered was new that you didn't remember seeing, or um, your favorite or most surprising thing?
Hmm. Um, well, there's an elevator in Chin Hall that's pretty neat. That I don't think I've ever lived in a house with an elevator, so we don't use it very much, but that's kind of fun. Um, it's being back. There's a lot of things that have changed at Sewanee through the years, and it's been so great to see so many of those fantastic changes and developments. I mean, Beal Commons is now a renovated living room for the students, and that the idea to that actually, when Thompson Union was when we built the Bishop's Common in the late 70s. And before that, Thompson Union was a student union. And the campus shifted to the backside of campus. And one of the reasons, and it was kind of emptied out the quadrangle. And one of the reasons we put McClurg Hall where we did, located parallel to the chapel, was to try to bring activity back to campus. That was back in 1999 and 2000. With the Fitwell Center and now Beal Commons, all the activity is back to the center of campus. And that is one of the great developments for Sewanee. Sort of 40 years later, we're back to the quadrangle as the center of campus with All Saints, Walsh Elliott, Breslin. So that's probably one of the most exciting and happy things to see back here at Sewanee in terms of physical facilities. Place has also grown. We're there several hundred more students today than there were in the past. And I've really appreciated the fact that I think we have embraced a larger student body while retaining the kind of connection, the relationships, the sort of faculty-student relationships that I remember from the past. That still happens today. That still happens. Although it can be a bit of a challenge at times, especially with social media and everybody having phones and always on their phones. Matter of fact, just a quick thing, with the first year class last fall, um, when I was introduced to the class at the beginning, I challenged them. I said, look, we have this tradition of the passing hello at Sewanee, and we need to bring that back. And you can't have a passing hello if you're staring at your phone or got your earbuds in. So I challenged the students to walk around campus without looking at their devices or using them. And I said that anyone, I'm on my phone all the time, but I said, if you catch me on my phone in public, I will make $100 donation to your favorite charity. And so I did not get busted one time this year. A couple of times I had to slip my phone to Phoebe to answer something that was buzzing, but otherwise, I hope we can continue the passing hello with that tradition.
Great. Thank you for that. There were several questions, and I was interested to see how much interest there was in this topic. But we have explained that we're trying to build some new apartments, and there's maybe housing crunch for faculty and staff members. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So I've said this before, but probably the biggest surprise to me upon returning to Sewanee was that over 40% of our faculty now live off the domain. And that changes the very dynamic of the institution and of the place. For some people, it's the right thing to do, and I get that. Families who have children in school in Chattanooga might need to live there, or a spouse who works there, a partner who works there. My goal is to ensure that any faculty or staff that wants to live on the domain can. So we are in the process of working to develop some additional housing. Last year, we finished up 5 new houses, put them in the lottery for faculty and staff, and they were snapped up right away. We're building 4 more now. So we've added 10 houses to our pool of housing exclusively for faculty and staff going forward. We're also toward the tail end of a project to develop an apartment commons for faculty and staff on the bypass as you approach Shenanigans on the right-hand side of the road on 41A. That will be a really important addition for to again bring people back to campus. We're looking at maybe doing some renovation of some of the housing in Woodlands area and then turning them around to be sold for faculty and staff. And finally, we're also looking at maybe some townhouses in the village area. All of this will help activate the village and bring even more activity to that. But the whole goal behind this is to ensure that faculty and staff who want to live in Sewanee can. It's just been harder and harder for them to afford the housing in Sewanee. And so we're working hard to make it possible for more faculty and staff to live and own or rent on the domain.
Thank you. And speaking of the village, the university has announced our commitment and dedication to sort of revitalizing that. Can you give us a little update on what's happening down there?
Sure. We've got some great businesses there, the Blue Chair, Shenanigans, Taylor's, Lemon Fair. All of these great businesses have been there for many years. We also have some new businesses. The lunch restaurant has been very popular. Matter of fact, it's been written up in at least one kind of foodie magazine for being a great place. And we are soon opening there will be a new restaurant opened in the village in the old laundry area. That's going to be a fantastic addition. When you combine those kind of businesses with the Angel Park that was put in a few years ago, and there's a lot to do there. And what we're hoping is that as new folks come to campus, prospective students and their families, they will see a village that is vibrant, that is alive, that is fun, that has some great places to go, to shop, to eat, and to do more to be a terrific first impression for those who are coming for the first time, and a great place for those who know Sewanee well. We've got a wonderful village there and some great opportunities on the horizon.
Great, thank you. That's right. It's great for the whole community, not just the students. We've had a couple questions about, I'd say maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, there was a committee put into place, and I think everybody refers to it as the Names and Places Committee. And where a lot of people have asked, where does the status of that right now?
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I know it is a matter of interest. The Board of Regents is still taking the report in consideration. They've been working through it, thinking about it, and I really appreciate their deliberateness. And I know they're very interested in moving this project along. And I appreciate all the work that people did leading up to that. So it's still with the board, and I'm sure we'll be hearing something from them before too long.
Great, thank you. And then along those lines, any update on the ATO house? I mean, we
Along those
really
lines,
had multiple questions
what
about that.
okay, so the ATO house. So the campus master planning group worked on a master plan before I came back last spring. Looked at that as well as the entire campus, and that plan was never finalized or definitively approved, but they took a good hard look at it as well, wondering what might become of the ATO house. It's a beautiful building right there in the center of campus, and we need to do something there. It's part of the challenge is that any kind of renovation of that facility would require elevators and so forth. There's only one way up and down from the main floor, and it's a spiral staircase. So it would require some great extensive renovation to the building for it to have any kind of public use. So we don't know. The answer is we don't know yet what that would become of that. I am aware that there are some alumni, ATOs that have asked about it as well. And what about the house, and what about the chapter? And I wasn't around when the chapter was closed. I'm still learning more about all of that. And I guess this is one of those where the best answer would be, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see how things develop with that organization and with that building.
Thanks for that update. A couple years ago, we created a new division of Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And a lot of people were interested in what that does. I know you talked about our international students and how our campus is welcoming to all people, but can you describe what the role of that office is?
Yeah, well, first I'll just say the Vice Provost, Sibby Anderson Tompkins, is just a terrific person and has done great work there. I'm really proud of some of the things that she and her team are involved in. They helped organize a number of programs like our Dialogue Across Difference program that 3 or 4 times a year brings together individuals from a wide variety across campus to talk about important issues and matters of concern, matters of interest. That Dialogue Across Difference is run out of her program. It's a Posse program that brings a group of 10 students each year from the Washington, D.C. area, Baltimore area. That's been incredibly meaningful for those students and for the campus to broaden the base of our student body. So that they also were very, they were instrumental in creating Sewanee as a center for truth, racial healing, and transformation, a new TRHT center at Sewanee. I think it's one of now 60 TRHT centers around the country. And this is a program that is helping institutions think about their past and think about what their past can mean for the future in terms of being a more embracing and belonging sense of community. That TRHT program has this last year worked alongside the DuPont Foundation to develop a program to help us again think about our legacy and think about our future. So I think there's a number of initiatives that are coming out of that program that I think are all working to enrich our campus and make this an even stronger community.
Thank you for that update. I know you've mentioned a lot of recent building projects or renovations like the track and Beale Commons and Hamilton Hall's renovation. Have there been others? Can you talk about maybe some of the dorm renovations that have happened?
Sure. Well, before last summer, we actually did about a $500,000 cosmetic upgrade of McCready, and we're still looking at whether we need to go further with McCready. It doesn't have air conditioning, and that is an issue. This summer, we are doing about a $500,000 renovation of Gorgas, largely putting in air conditioning in all of the windows and repainting, carpeting, a real refresh of Gorgas, which is kind of one of the older residence halls needing the most work. There are 3 in particular that we're looking at for a major renovation: Gorgas, Hunter, and McCready. We have an architect that is working now with students and others on a charrette related to McCready and Hunter. And it's likely, I'm not certain at this point, but it's likely we've actually taken McCready and Hunter offline this year. It's likely we're going to keep Hunter offline in order to do a full-scale renovation. And then we'll wait to see if we should also move forward with McCready. Clearly, it's a cost. It's a fundraiser. It's a those two together would cost over 20 million for a full-scale renovation. Over 20 million to add the air conditioning, to put in the elevators, to do what needs to be done. And so we're going to have to be careful about this and think about whether we do it as a two-step process or potentially do both of them. But I'm pretty sure we'll be moving forward with Hunter sometime soon.
Thank you. We have a question here about the endowment and how large, what do you think it should be, and how do you see the university attaining what you envision?
Well, thanks for asking. The
That's
endowment is a little shy of 500 million. We've got work to do to grow our endowment. Many of our peer institutions are at levels over $1 billion. And quite frankly, that's where we need to be to provide the resources for scholarships, for faculty support, for compensation. We really need to be at that $1 billion or more range. So that's long-term goal that I hope doesn't take a long term to get there would be to be at that point. But I'm grateful for all the support we do get for our endowment. And as you know, the last goal of the strategic plan is in fact to grow our endowment.
great. Great. There's a couple of questions here about, so there's actually several questions here about how the business minor is one of our most popular minors, and how does that fit into the overall academic plan?
Sure. Well, strategy 5E, 15E in the strategic plan speaks very specifically about the business program. And if you go there, you'll see a number of things that we're looking at to enhance and grow the opportunity for students who are interested in developing skills and knowledge in the business area. I've talked about this matter with lots of people this last year, and I know there are a good number of folks who have recommended or have suggested the benefit potentially of a business major. Truthfully, it's not a majority of the people I talk to, but it's certainly is a significant number. Mostly their concern is not so much the product going out, the student who graduates from Sewanee now, or what the skills and knowledge and all they graduate with, but it's about how to attract more students coming in, how to attract a group of prospective students who don't check the Sewanee box or who don't express interest in Sewanee because they don't see a business major. I believe that with the enhancements the plan calls for, including adding faculty in the business area and courses in the curriculum, and doing a better job of marketing our program and adding more Carey Fellows and developing the executive in residence program more. I believe there are things we can do with those enhancements to the program alongside telling that story better, that will get more of those prospective students looking at Sewanee and saying, yes, this is a place where I can develop those skills and that knowledge that will help position me for careers down the road. We have plenty of great business leaders out there in the world who have finished at Sewanee. And I think the plans the proposals in the plan will help us move the needle on that even more, short of having an actual business major.
Thank
But
you.
I also I respect those who think that we need to go the route of the major. But I'd like to give this a good run, given the plan. And I'll also say this: we have already have commitments of $2.5 million for a new endowed professorship in this area. So you'll see one of the tactics in the plan calls for adding faculty. And I'm very pleased to say that we have commitments of at $2.5 million to help make that happen already.
Great. And in that answer, you mentioned careers several times. And so we've had a few questions about our Career Readiness Center. And I know that a recent report showed the high number of graduates who are employed or in graduate school within 6 months. Can you talk about some of the wonderful things our Career Center does for our students?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, alluded to the fact that in goal number 2, or our career preparation is part of that career readiness. In 2023, 95% of our students were employed or in graduate school within 6 weeks of graduation. And that's an incredibly strong number. And I suspect, based on the information coming in so far, the same will be true of class of 2024. We have a very strong network of alumni who are out there supporting our students. We have one of the premier internship programs in the year in the country. As you may know, one of the Sewanee pledges is that we will help provide internships for students who are interested in those internships. We have career coaches who are very supportive of our students. We've got this, many of you have probably either heard about or participated in our Beyond the Gates program, which happens every January. Kim Heitzenrath and her team put on a terrific program to help prepare students for life and experiences and career beyond the gates. So I want to reinforce the point that this is a place that understands the value of going from high school to college and college to career. And many of the things we're doing today will help position students to make that, to go down that path.
Thank you for that. This was one that I thought was fun and it's more general, but it's like, what would you, 3 topics, what would you stop, what would you start, and what would you continue at Sewanee after being here a year?
What would I stop? Well, if it was just related to me, I would stop having to do Latin during commencement services. This is painful and not easy for me. And I found myself quite challenged last time, so I would stop doing, but I know that's, no one wants to get rid of the Latin, so that's probably not going to happen. You know, I said a little while ago, I would stop the broad use of electronic devices when students are on campus. I really would like to re-engage the whole passing hello and have students and faculty and staff more personally engaged as they walk around. What I would start, you know, I might say restart. I was interviewed by a student newspaper last fall, and I said I was thinking about bringing back the coat and tie tradition and Saturday classes. So that's why I've got on my coat and tie today. And they looked at me like I'd fallen off a turnip truck when I said Saturday classes. So I don't think I'll get away with that. But I would love to think about ways that the experience of our students doesn't have that sort of work weekend sort of feel. And that was certainly the case when we had Saturday classes. So starting, stopping, what was the other thing?
Continuing. What would you continue? You would keep continuing.
Well, I would just continue the extraordinary Sewanee experience that grows out of living and working and playing together on this extraordinary mountaintop of ours. You know, I talk a lot about this mountaintop being a catalyst at a crucible, a catalyst that brings people together in a very important way, and a crucible that forges an experience that helps our students to know that they can make a difference. Not only Sewanee makes a difference not only in their lives, but in the lives they touch beyond the domain. So for me, continuing that experience of helping our students make a difference in the world, and I talk about it a lot. Sort of the mountain moves us so that we can move mountains is kind of our bit of our theme.
Thank you for that. I'm being paying attention to the time, and we just have a few minutes left, and I know there's like a lot of questions we didn't get to, but the good news is I'm going to hold you to it. You've agreed to do some more of these in the future. But the final question I want to ask is, um, what questions do you wish more alumni would ask you?
So I'm going to use that question to sort of wrap up the Sewanee Call events, Sewanee campaign, Sewanee Club events that we do around the country with my call to action. So what the question I would like people to ask is, what more can I do to help? And I want all Sewanee folks to think about how they can help uh, um, our institution and the students who go here. So first would be the best 5 calls to action. The first is to come back to Sewanee, come back home, come back and play, come back to play golf, come back to the perimeter trail, come back for lessons and carols. Don't be a stranger. It's a special place. We all know it, and it's great to have you back on campus. The second is to fly the flag. Talk about this all the time, but we just need you all to be proud of your Sewanee experience and share it with the world, whether it's baseball caps on your heads or stickers on your bumper or wherever you can, at your homes, in your churches, around your community centers, at the clubs. Share the fact that you're a Sewanee student or alumnus or parent or friend, and wear your t-shirts and be just a great billboard for the University of the South. Fly the flag. The third thing is to help us recruit the next generation of Sewanee students. If all of you were commissioned to be admissions counselors, think about the connections you have to the young people in your community, in your churches, around your home, your children, your grandchildren. We got to start working on the class of 2029 now. So we need your help to recruit the next generation of students. The fourth thing is to help with our career service, our career readiness program. We've got this great network. We need all of you in the positions you're in to help our students find internships, our graduates to find jobs, being a career advisor, a counselor, anything you can do to help move our students from that high school to college and college onto career and experience would be great. So help us with that, those kind of connections, be part of the network. And then finally, no surprise, I want to say that Sewanee sincerely deserves and appreciates your financial support. We need the Sewanee family to step up and support the institution financially. Last year was a very strong year. Tiger Tuesday, over $8 million, $4 million raised. The Sewanee Fund, over $8 million last year, which is an all-time high. Percentage giving was up. The overall gifts to the college last year were up about 19 or 20%. So that's great, but we've got to keep that going. And so Sewanee appreciates and truly deserves your support. And I would urge all of you to make a gift to Sewanee. In fact, tomorrow you will receive from the University Relations Office an email that is inviting you to make a gift to Sewanee. And if everybody on this call made a gift to Sewanee, we could increase the percentage that's going into this next year in a significant way. So I urge your financial support, but please know how much it is deeply, deeply appreciated. That's the call to action.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rob, for tonight. And I just want to add that the great financial year that we had through the gifts from alumni and parents and friends, to me, is a vote of confidence in what's happening at Sewanee, and a lot of that is your leadership. So thank you for all that. And we are excited to do some more of these. If you didn't get your question answered, we will either follow up with you or pick it up next time. There's a lot of news to report, and we are excited to share all the good things happening at Sewanee. And for those alums who need to come back for homecoming, if your class year ends in a 4 or 9, it's a reunion year for you. So I hope you'll come November 1st through 3rd. And the last thing I wanted to say is this freshman class that Rob talked about, that was so large and impressive, we have 23% of them are legacy students. So that's always great to see how you guys spread the word about Sewanee. So thanks again,
Thanks,
Rob.
everybody. It's
And we'll
great to be
see
with
you
everybody.
soon.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in person soon. Bye-bye.